Okay, welcome. This is just a quick tutorial on how to install Android Studio. So to begin with, let's go to the website. If you just type in Android Studio, you'll end up probably at the right location. Developerandroid.com, yep. Okay. So before we even click the button, let's just talk about what it takes to run Android Studio. It can run on practically anything. There's even a version that'll run on a Chromebook. The problem is not that the Android Studio won't do its thing. It's the emulator that causes people the most amount of trouble. So if you have an Intel-based processor versus an AMD-based processor, you actually get different things installed. And if you're on a Chromebook or something like that, I have no idea what gets installed, but trust me. So the minimum requirements for this thing is 4 gigabytes of RAM. They recommend 8, so that's quite a lot. You're going to need an awful lot of disk space because this thing is going to suck down the Android stuff plus all the Java stuff plus itself. And so it takes about 5 gigabytes of data. That's not a heck of a lot, but you know, if you're on a small tablet, you kind of sort of need to know. Now, if you have an Intel processor, that's gonna try to install this thing called, well, I don't remember what it's called, HAXM. Anyway, it's an Intel only product that is an emulator that emulates the Android device. It's very nice, very cool if you got it. But it has an awful lot of very, very specific things you have to have. You have to have a 64-bit processor. You have to have disabled the Hyper-V role on your machine. And you have to have the Intel virtualization things enabled in the BIOS. Now, how do you do the enabling in the BIOS? Darned if I know. You're going to have to figure that out on your own because each machine is just slightly different. As for disabling the Hyper-V, I'm going to go to the control panel. I'm going to go to good old Programs and Features, and where it says Turn Windows Features On and Off. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't have an Intel machine, but right there where it says Hyper-V, I need to uncheck those guys. Okay, so let's begin. Download Android Studio. Sure, I've read that. Let's do this thing. Now, I'm going to pause the video and speed it up a bit so we don't have to sit through some of this boring stuff. Okay, that took right about 3 minutes on my machine to download. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on it and say, let's launch this guy. Okay, yes, I'd like to make those changes. So for the most part, we're going to take the defaults for the most part. Yes, I'm going to do all this stuff. So, yep, we're just going to take the defaults. I'm going to let it put it where it wants it. It's going to put it in program files. That's fine. Sure, I want to start menu. Go right ahead. And it starts. And once again, I'm going to, well, maybe I'm not. This is not that bad. I'm going to wait. Okay, it says installation complete. Let's do next. So let's do next. But I'd like to start this. Yes, I would. Now, we don't have an existing configuration file that we're trying to import, so I'm just going to leave it on do not import. That kind of makes sense. And the first time you run this thing, it's a little strange, so just bear with me for a minute. Because it kind of sort of looked like we were done with installing, right? I mean, it said install complete, right? But we are nowhere near. Now, since we're students, I don't like to do the sharing the usage data because our usage data is weird. It's not a traditional type of thing. So I'm going to hit don't send. And then it says, okay, so let's do the wizard. I'm going to just do the standard thing. That kind of makes sense, taking the default. I'm going to use the light theme. I like how they call the dark theme Darkula, or I guess it's kind of sort of Dracula. And I'm going to leave it on light. And then this comes up and says, hey man, this is what we're getting ready to do. Are you wanting to do that? I go, sure, why not? So after I hit verify settings, it's going to start downloading even more stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and pause the video to speed this part up. Okay, so I got a command prompt thing. Of course, I'm going to say yes. And off and running we go again. Okay, that took about 2 minutes on my machine. Again, your mileage may vary. I have a relatively fast, I pay extra for my internet service provider to get extra speed, so my numbers might not be the same. But anyway, we're going to hit this, and we're at the point where we can actually start. No, we're not ready to do that yet. So do not launch the application yet. We're going to make some configuration changes first. So I'm going to go here to configure, and I'm going to click on settings. Okay, there's just a couple of things that you need to do, and then some other things are kind of optional. But if I'm gonna go to system settings, and it's gonna want a directory where you can put stuff. Now, Java is weird. Let me just tell you, Java doesn't know anything at all about your documents directory. Never has, never will. And so I'm gonna suggest you put things in documents. So I'm gonna go to my thing. I'm going to go to my documents folder, and I'm going to create me a brand new folder, and I'm going to call it Android Studio Projects, all run together. Android Studio Projects, like that. So I have me a brand new place where my stuff is going to go. Cool? All right. So I'm going to go back to here, and it says, well, here's where my default directory is. If I can click on the guy. And I have to drill through, and it doesn't know anything about home or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to go drill through and find my name and find where my documents are, and then find Android Studio. Okay, cool. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go down to where it says Editor and Code Style and Java. Okay, and then so Editor, Code Style, Java. And I'm going to get to this point, this tab here talks about wrapping and bracing. Now this point, this is completely optional. I'm just saying this is the way I have my machine configured, so it might. Anyway, simple blocks in one line. I'm going to say, no, I do not want you to, I want to keep that when reformatting. And then brace placement. I'm going to change each one of these to next line. So there's 4 of these guys. Next line. And I'm going to hit OK. And now we've actually kind of sort of got everything done as far as configuring. So now it's time for us to run Android, and you might think, oh, well, this part's going to be easy. Since we've already got everything installed. No, we haven't got everything installed yet. So I'm going to hit create new project. So this is the phone and where and all these tabs. I'm going to leave it on the phone and tablet and switch over here to where it says blank activity. Okay, so I'm going to click blank activity and hit next. And I'm just going to mostly take the defaults. I'm going to leave the name at my application. I'm going to leave the package name the way it is. And yes, it put it in the right location, but I do not want to use this language called Kotlin. I want to do Java. Now it will remember this from now on, but this very, very, very first time you're going to have to pick that you want this thing done in Java. Okay, that's it. I'm ready to hit finish. And up will pop your new stuff. Now, see right down here, there's a little spinner that pops up. And so you think, okay, we're kind of sort of done. But if you just sit back and watch, this thing starts scanning, and then it starts downloading, and then it starts doing all sorts of other stuff. So I'm going to tell it, no, I don't want any tips. That's just me. And this little assistant thing, I'm just going to dismiss that to get it out of the way. Now, as long as this little spinny down here is spinning, we're really going to have to wait. And believe it or not, this is going to take a while. Because once again, it's going to have to download some stuff. Again, you know, you thought, well, wait, the download was complete the first time, and then it's downloading some more stuff, and now it's downloading some more stuff after that. Yeah, so just sit back and wait. I'm going to go ahead and hit pause here on the video just to speed things up. Okay, that took about 1.5 minutes to get to this point where everything showed up. Now, I still have a thing called indexing running, but that's okay. I'll let that run. That won't cause us too much issues here. Okay, so I've got something, and I'm not even going to explain what it is that we've got here on the screen because that's not really what we're after here. But I do want to run the app. Now, when I run the app, it's going to try to put it into. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, finally, the spinner went away. So I'm going to build the app. Now, normally I would just go here and hit run, but there's a particular reason I'm just going to go here that says build the app. So that's the little hammer. Because it's going to download even more stuff. So we just wait. This doesn't take that long. Okay, the next thing I'm going to have you do is manually start up the emulator. This is a piece of software that makes it look like you have an Android device attached. So I'm going to go to Tools and go to AVD Android Virtual Device Manager. And I'm going to pick on the one that we've got installed, which is just fine. This little VCR button means basically launch this guy. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, the reason I did this is going to take a long time. The very first time you fire this guy up, it might take, I don't know, 5 minutes for it to get to this point. I've already run it on my machine, so it's a little deceptive. But the idea is this could take quite some time to run. Now, if you get an error message here where it says, I can't start this thing, well then just bring that to us, come talk to me and we'll come up with some alternative ways to do it. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to run my application. Woohoo! I guess I could dismiss this little guy. And so this is the little VCR button that runs the application. And what it's going to do, of course, is eventually it's going to run. It's going to put that into this guy. And ta-da! There's our application. Yay! It doesn't do much, and that's not really the point here. The point is, can you go through the motions of creating an application, going through and setting up all the settings like we did, getting the emulator to work, and then launching the thing to make sure it works? That's all we wanted to get to is this video. Okay, let me show you how you stop everything. So the application is actually running on our emulator. So I'm going to hit the little red VCR button over here that stops it. So that's going to stop that guy. And you could, of course, close off the emulator if you wanted to. So that is as far as we wanted to go this video. So stay tuned for the next video.